Discover the incredible story of a shoeless girl who wowed a millionaire CEO among 25 candidates. Emma's heart raced as she stood outside the gleaming high-rise on Fifth Avenue. She could barely muster her resolve to step through those glass doors, her grandmother's voice echoing in her mind. "Hard work and honesty will get you far, my girl." This was her moment, yet nothing about it felt right. Society told her barefoot was unacceptable. The polished floor reflected her humble beginnings, and there was nowhere to hide. Now or never, she thought, taken aback. What kind of life had she built where this felt like both an act of rebellion and authenticity? As Emma entered the office, the scent of sharp cologne mixed with the crispness of fresh mountain air transformed into a suffocating fog. The receptionist seemed to be wearing smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Her feet pressed against the cool tiles with uncertain comfort. She was out of place in a sea of polished shoes and sharp suits. She was representing her family's struggles, their sacrifices darkening the creases of her determined brow. What if they couldn't see beyond her appearance? The flicker of judgment from Alex Martin awaited her, she was sure of it. Seated before him, Emma felt the weight of the corporate world bearing down on her. The confidence of each passing moment crumbled as he raised an eyebrow at her bare feet, a signal of hesitance flickering in his expression. "Why should I consider someone who can't even dress the part?" His voice was a taut string, snapping painfully against her eardrums. She swallowed hard, heart pounding, not with excitement, but with an uphill struggle against perception and judgment. Then it hit her, the question that stung. "Have you really done your homework?" His skepticism wrapped around her throat. A wave of heat rushed through her veins. How could he belittle her struggle? For a moment, she was speechless. The violent chaos of injustice echoed in every silent beat of her heart. Their worlds felt so disparate, the privilege in front of her a wall that left no room for her truth. Yet the familiar words of her grandmother pushed her forward, igniting a sliver of defiance. "Let me tell you about my grandmother," Emma began, her voice shaking but firm, each word peeling away layers of doubt. "She worked 3 jobs to raise me and taught me that hard work is worth more than any shoe. I choose to walk in my truth." Alex's expression shifted slightly, caught between listening and retreating behind the fortress of his privilege. Before the unspeakable tension could suffocate her, an emergency alarm blared, jolting the corporate team to life. Emma's mind raced, an idea sparked in her, a solution rooted in her reality. What if you approach it differently? Look at it from a human perspective instead of a financial one. The desperation in her voice made her small, yet the fierce determination surged as the room swirled around their growing divide. One foot plunged in vast corporate waters, the other firmly anchored in her own twisted roots. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Emma leaned closer, contending with Alex's steely gaze, the air thickened with disconnection. She could feel his hesitancy, a raw vulnerability entwined with his guarded nature, a pressure cooker building towards an explosion. Her desperate plea challenged the carefully constructed walls that separated them. Were they about to grapple with something profound amidst software systems crashed and lost opportunities? In this moment, Emma realized she was standing on a precipice, teetering between the ambition that drove her and the crushing weight of societal judgment she felt preparing to swallow her whole. She was no longer just an intern candidate. She was a reflection of everything left unspoken, around courage, around truth. But in a world fraught with privilege, would her authenticity be enough to shatter the misconceptions, or was it already too late to reach the finish line? Emma's heart thundered in her chest, the drumbeat of anxiety pushing her thoughts into disarray. Had she just challenged the man whose wealth and influence towered above her own? But as the alarm continued to echo throughout the building, something shifted within her. With each passing second, she realized she hadn't come this far to be silenced by fear or doubt. A human perspective? Alex echoed, his expression a blend of skepticism and intrigue. Despite the chaos erupting in the office around them, Emma focused on her own voice, vibrating with urgency and purpose. What if you lead with empathy instead of statistics? What if you prioritize people over profits? The words tumbled from her lips, buoyed by an unexpected stream of confidence. In that moment, she wasn't just a candidate. She was a catalyst, igniting a flicker of possibility in a boardroom overshadowed by elitism. Alex leaned back in his chair, eyebrows knitted together as he contemplated her suggestion. The urgency of the fire alarm blurred in the backdrop of their confrontation, and all at once she felt the gaze of the other candidates, somewhere in the room gauging her audacity with a mix of envy and admiration. Could Emma be the one to rally a new way of thinking? "You think that's what people want to hear?" he asked, a hint of challenge in his tone. Yet it felt different now, less critical and more curious. "It's not about what they want to hear. It's about what they need to feel," Emma replied, her courage solidifying into a weapon. The air crackled with raw tension. She recalled the voices of her grandmother, the neighborhood kids, those who had struggled under the weight of expectation. People are tired of being treated like just another line on a balance sheet. Alex's gaze held her own, the skepticism beginning to ebb as he processed her words. She noted the slight softening of his posture, the way he settled forward just a bit more in his chair. For the first time, she felt like she was altering the dynamic rather than merely existing within it. Perhaps the alarm wasn't merely a distraction. It was a metaphor for the imperative changes that still needed to be made. Emma took a breath, contemplating the urgency behind her own assertions. What had she unearthed within herself during this fleeting moment? The realization struck her hard. This wasn't just about securing an internship. It was about altering minds and dismantling barriers. Alex was a mirror reflecting the larger corporate world she was ready to challenge. "I'm not just here to impress you with my skills. I can offer a different perspective, one crafted from the realities of struggle and grit. I can help create an environment where innovation thrives through collaboration rather than competition." Each word carved a deeper conviction into her purpose. As time slowed, she weighed the risks and rewards in her mind. Was she willing to stand firm even if he dismissed her? Could she handle rejection knowing she had chosen authenticity over conformity? Alex's brows lifted slightly, a flicker of respect sparking in his cobalt blue eyes. "And what assurances do I have that we're not just adding another layer to an already flawed system?" he pressed, genuinely curious now. Emma paused, feeling the weight of the question. Such inquiries demanded not just responses, but insights born from experience. "Because I won't let the system drown the voices of those it overlooks. I will be the bridge that connects the unseen potential to this company. It may not be measured in numbers, but in stories." The emergency alarm gradually subsided, leaving a void filled only with anticipation. Emma realized she had opened a dialogue not just for herself, but for all who struggled against the tide sweeping away their voices. Could she turn this moment into something more? The uncertainty reminded her of the story her grandmother always told, the one about the little girl who stood against giants. Emma prepared to push further, to explore whether her authenticity could shift Alex's perception entirely or set the stage for a much deeper confrontation. The stakes weren't just personal anymore. They echoed with the hopes of those who dared to be different. "Can you imagine the potential?" she asked thoughtfully as her mind raced ahead, a new vision blooming. But before the tension could resolve, the office door swung open, revealing a flurry of suits bustling in, faces flushed, each one hurriedly. Attempting to adapt to the chaos of a corporate crisis, Emma felt propelled into the fray, instantly aware of the new dynamics at play. What storm awaited her now, and would Alex stand with her or against her in this uncharted territory? Emma steadied herself, realizing she must navigate this uncertain crossroad, not just for the chance at a job, but for the voice she had chosen to become. The moment had arrived, a moment that would define the essence of her journey, yet also risk tearing apart the fragile connection they had begun to forge. The renewed energy in the room surged and swirled around Emma like a whirlwind, a mix of anxiety and determination. Her heart danced dangerously at the prospect of both opportunity and upheaval, and she resisted the urge to falter in the wake of new arrivals. While her mind wrestled with the unspoken puzzle pieces of this corporate crisis, another part of her sparked with renewed vigor. The crowd of suited figures converged with an air of impatience, their voices rising in a cacophony of urgent inquiries as they absorbed the situation. Emma instinctively stepped back, her face a mask of contemplative poise. While the chaos encased her, she pulled inward, reflecting on the pivotal choice she had made only moments earlier. She had thrown her voice into the treacherous fray, and now, how would she wield this newfound fortitude? Feeling eyes flicker her way with both skepticism and curiosity, Emma became keenly aware of her role, not just as a candidate, but as an emerging leader. In this rough-and-tumble scenario, she sensed the delicate nature of the connection she had begun to establish, particularly with Alex. Would he recognize the shift she had initiated, or would he retreat to the instincts of traditionalism that clouded the very conversation they were having? "Emma!" shouted a frantic voice amid the discord, the eldest of the new arrivals, a woman with frizzy hair and an air of authority that demanded respect. "We need to consolidate our marketing strategies immediately. The board is unsettled about the drop in our recent engagement metrics." Emma's instinct kicked in. She turned, recognizing this as a chance to solidify her standing. Boldly stepping forward, she said, "What if we gathered feedback from our customers instead of relying solely on the metrics? A roundtable discussion would provide insights that numbers can't capture. It's about understanding our clients on a human level, not merely as data points." Several heads turned in surprise, and Emma noticed Alex's sharp gaze fix on her, the interest rekindled. "I was just thinking about how essential qualitative data is," he replied, nodding slightly as he considered what she'd proposed. The others looked back and forth between them, sensing potential electricity in her words. But just as hope surged within her, doubt clawed its way back. What if this was just empty bravado? What if she overstepped her bounds? The woman in charge frowned momentarily, then shrugged. "Fine, we can entertain that idea, but it must align with immediate actions. Time is of the essence." A thawing silence settled around them like a cautious truce, and Emma felt her confidence solidify further. Alex's respect was something she could manifest not just through words, but through concrete actions. But it wouldn't stop there. This was merely her first step into a larger arena of influence, one she was beginning to crave. As the meeting devolved into strategic discussions, Emma seized the opportunity to contribute. Each suggestion she offered bore the hefty fingerprints of leaving behind the comfort of doubt and stepping into her authority. She articulated innovative marketing concepts born from empathy, which caught the attention of several team leaders. That energy built within the group folds, and Emma's idea of client testimonials stirring up engagement led to enthusiastic discussions. But in the midst of it all, a voice drew Emma's attention back. "Excuse me, but who are you?" A stern-faced man, sharp with his words and tailor-made in his suit, had emerged from among the throng. Facing this unexpected challenge, Emma swallowed hard, aware this was not merely an inquiry about her identity, but rather a test that could redefine her journey here. "I'm Emma," she stated clearly, finding her steadiness amidst the uncertainty. "A candidate for an internship, but more importantly, someone who believes leadership begins with understanding. I'm here to advocate for a shift in how we perceive our customers and engage with them." The man smirked, crossing his arms. And tell me, what makes you think you're equipped to reshape a narrative thousands of dollars rely on? Do you even have the experience? Emma's pulse quickened. This was no casual conversation. It felt like a battleground for her beliefs and ambition. Experience is built through listening and adapting, not just the years spent in a position. I may not have a long resume, but I have the passion to advocate for change. The air turned taut of the violin string, charged with tension as his expression caught her challenge. Fighting against the anxiety pulling in her stomach, Emma knew she had reached a critical moment. The path she chose would define whether she'd retreat to the edges of the room or step toward her potential. I won't back down from an opportunity to learn. I'm here, not just to do the work, but to help write a new story. In that moment, she caught the flicker of understanding run through Alex's features, a silent agreement that whispered of solidarity and potential. But would it be enough to silence her opponents and propel her forward? Emma braced for the next round, where her conviction would again be questioned, and where her voice could either rise victoriously or falter amidst corporate pressures. As the echoes of doubt threatened to drown her out, she realized it was time to confront what lay ahead, both for herself and to challenge the status quo. Her path ahead remained tenuous, unresolved. Would she find allies willing to help her shift a deeply rooted culture, or would the shadows of conformity stretch too far? The stern-faced man leaned in closer, his scrutiny relentless. Emma felt every second stretching, a taut string ready to snap. She scanned the room, searching for signs of support. Alex's eyes seemed to shine with encouragement, but would he step in? Passion doesn't pay the bills, the man retorted, his tone dismissive. You may be right about the importance of understanding customers, but without proven results, this is nothing more than a baseless assertion. He cast a furtive glance at the assembled executives, gauging their reactions. Emma's mind raced. She needed a solid response, something that would redirect the energy of the conversation back to her vision. I may lack experience in this corporate realm, she countered, her voice steadying, but what I do bring is a fresh perspective. When brands humanize their approach, they connect better with their audience. I've seen it work in smaller settings. Nonprofits and community groups thrive when they prioritize connection. Some executives nodded subtly, intrigued. Perhaps she had tapped into something deeper, a reminder of why they ventured into their respective roles in the first place. Emma dared to step closer to the man, matching his intensity. Isn't that what we all strive for? Genuine engagement? Lasting relationships with customers that will endure beyond trending metrics? The atmosphere shifted, a subtle electric current sparking among different factions in the room. The stern man paused, appearing caught between maintaining his authoritative image and recognizing the resonance of her words. All right, I'm listening, he begrudged, crossing his arms as he inclined his head slightly, granting her the opening she needed. For the next few minutes, Emma spoke, channeling everything she had absorbed from classes and reading into a coherent vision. The rush of adrenaline surged within her as she outlined her plans, weaving personal anecdotes about brands making a difference. The coalition of interests grew, signaled by murmurs of approval. When she finished, a scatter of applause broke out, most from unexpected corners of the room. She met Alex's gaze again, and this time he grinned, an acknowledgement that dismantled much of the isolation Emma had felt just moments earlier. Impressive, came the previously imposing voice, but now with a hint of respect. And how do you propose we start implementing these ideas on a scale that would meet our current outputs? Emma took a deep breath, heart racing, as she sensed the gravity of the next question. A pilot program. We can invite our most engaged customers for feedback sessions. This doesn't just give us insight, but shows our clients that they matter beyond being data points. What if it fails? The stern man challenged, his mask slipping slightly. Failures are just stepping stones, Emma countered, passion igniting her words. They're opportunities to learn and refine our approach. It's through conversation and collaboration that real change comes. And I promise you, it won't go unnoticed. Our clients will appreciate our change in direction." Alex's earlier intrigue morphed into silent admiration, as if he were recalibrating his opinion about her capabilities. Doubt flickered through Emma again, but this time she harnessed it, refusing to allow it to overshadow her rapid transformation. As the dialogue continued, Emma's confidence flourished. Executives raised hands to interject with suggestions on implementation and logistics, and for the first time, Emma felt not like an interloper, but a vital part of the decision-making process. The meeting concluded with an agreement to start the pilot program in 2 weeks, with Emma given a platform to present her ideas. Adrenaline thrummed through her. She had turned the tide. Stepping out of the conference room, everything felt surreal. The halls buzzed with energy, laughter, anticipation, and warmth. The essence of a breakthrough was finally forming. Leaving behind echoes of corporate hesitations, Emma's thoughts whirled with the implications of what would follow, shrouded in potential, yet tempered by reality. She wasn't merely a candidate anymore. She had staked her claim within these walls. As she entered the elevator, a familiar sense of urgency swallowed her. This was not just the beginning of her project. This was merely the gateway to navigating the corporate landscape on her own terms. But the looming questions felt heavy. Could she sustain this momentum? What if her ideas didn't translate into the bigger picture, just as the stern man had warned? Doubts flickered, but now coexisted alongside aspiration. The elevator doors dinged open, revealing a path laden with challenges that promised to test her resolve. She stepped forward, knowing the journey had only just begun. And then, just as she crossed the threshold, her phone buzzed. A message from Alex. "We should talk. There's something important that could affect what's next for both of us." Emma's heart sank, a fresh wave of uncertainty crashing through the victorious moment she had just savored. What could this mean for her? Emma stared at the screen, her heart racing. This was not just a text. It was a potential turning point in her rapidly changing narrative. The elation of the meeting dissipated, replaced by a flutter of apprehension. What could Alex possibly want to discuss that would impact both of them? She slipped her phone back into her pocket as she exited the building. The late afternoon sun cast elongated shadows on the pavement, the warmth a stark contrast to her chilling anxiety. Emma found herself wrestling with the idea that her recent breakthrough might be more fragile than she wanted to admit. The energy from the meeting was tangible, but it felt precarious, like a tightrope stretched over an abyss. Could she truly succeed in this new role? A million scenarios raced through her mind, each more daunting than the last. Every triumph carried the weight of expectations, her own and those she felt from the executives who had just applauded her vision. Driven by a mix of excitement and dread, Emma decided to seek out Alex. She found him in the cafeteria, deep. His laughter echoed across the room, familiar and comforting. Yet the thought of their impending conversation loomed large. She approached slowly, the jovial atmosphere of the room making it difficult for her resolve to maintain its steeliness. "Alex," she interrupted gently, "can we talk for a minute?" He turned, a momentary surprise flashing across his face that quickly softened. Nodding, he excused himself and led her to a quieter corner, away from the hum of chatter. She could read the tension in his posture as he leaned against the wall, arms crossed like a protective barrier. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his voice laced with warmth but tinged with an edge of concern. Emma hesitated, debating whether she should pursue the issue or let it breathe for a moment. She opted for honesty. "I got your message. Is something wrong? Is it about the pilot program?" "It's not about that," he replied, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "It's about something bigger." He paused, looking cautiously at her. "I've been given an opportunity for a major project. It's huge, but it requires relocation and a significant commitment. You might want to consider what that could mean." Confusion washed over her, quickly swirling into cold uncertainty. "Relocation? Why would that affect me?" "Because it's a chance for the both of us, an opportunity to lead an innovative team within the company. But," he sighed, clearly grappling with how to frame the next part, We have to make decisions soon. If you're serious about your direction here, you'll have to decide how much you want to pursue that. Emma's stomach twisted. She had just begun to find footing in her role, only to face the possibility of dividing her energy towards something unfamiliar and potentially burdensome. Are you really considering leaving? I mean, right when we're kicking off the pilot? Alex looked down at the floor, an uncomfortable silence stretching between them. I want to be honest about what's happening. I won't stay just to watch you thrive in this. If I go, my focus will shift entirely. Her mind was a cacophony of thoughts, almost deafening. But what about this path we're on? I need you here, Alex. The vulnerability in her voice surprised her, especially now that we're on the brink of something great. A moment of intensity hung in the air, and Emma felt like she was standing at a dividing line, her aspiration and uncertainty at odds, challenging her resolve. She grasped at the fringes of courage, her ambition battling a sense of potential abandonment. "It's not just about us anymore," he said softly, regret evidence in his expression. "It's about where you see yourself in the long term. You need to decide what matters most." The weight of his words pressed down, igniting a flame of tenacity within Emma. This was not merely a moment of insecurity, it was a defining juncture. She looked deep into his eyes, searching for some magical insight, but found only impermanence. "Maybe we can make this work?" she ventured, half pleading. "Together." Alex's brow furrowed, but before he could respond, the sound of an approaching group filled the space, breaking the tension. Emma's heart raced at the realization of the choice she faced. She had to carve a path for herself, with Alex, or whatever lay ahead. This was her moment to define not only her vision, but her fate. As she stepped back into the noise of the cafeteria, her pulse quickened with resolve. Would she step into the unknown, fueled by ambition, or linger in the comfort of familiar conflicts? A decision loomed ever closer, a chance to build the future she envisioned, or to watch the opportunity slip away. Just as she braced herself for the next move, a chilling thought struck her. Had she even begun to understand what risks she was truly willing to take? Emma awoke the next day with a burning question lingering in her mind. Who did she want to become? The sun streaked across her bedroom, brightening the corners filled with relics from her past, trophies and photos that held echoes of her childhood ambition. Yet the triumphs felt distant now, mere snapshots of a time when ambition was simpler, less tangled with the complexities of adult expectations. As she dressed for work, she felt the weight of the choices ahead pressing against her chest. Alex's potential departure loomed over her. It was no longer just about a project, but a pivot point in her career, a decision that could ripple through the aspirations she had nurtured so carefully. Would she go after the opportunity with him, or plant her feet firmly in the role that was finally beginning to blossom into something more? Arriving at the office, Emma felt a surge of determination. This was her chance to put theory into practice, to mold her identity not by the currents of others, but by her own vision. She headed directly to her desk, greeted by the familiar hum of office chatter, a shared space that now felt both vibrant and alien. Sitting there, she opened her notebook and began drafting a plan for the pilot program, translating her turbulent thoughts into actionable steps. Each stroke of the pen solidified her role in the project and her own evolving narrative. She realized that the project wasn't just about innovation, it was also about her. As she articulated her ideas, the trepidation melted away, replaced by a clarity that invigorated her spirit. In mid-afternoon, she felt an urge to share her thoughts. Taking a steadying breath, she approached Mara, the head of the marketing department, and shared her initial outline. The older woman's expression transformed from skepticism to interest as Emma elaborated on her vision. Their interaction ignited a kind of synergy Emma had not anticipated. It was collaborative energy that validated her passion and ideas. "Emma, this is impressive," Mara remarked, her tone shifting to one of, "Your insights could really make a difference in how we navigate this launch. Let's refine this together and prepare for the presentation." Emma felt invigorated. As she and Mara began transforming her raw ideas into a polished proposal, Emma's confidence began to bloom. The external validation acted as an anchor, reminding her of her worth. The fear of impending change, of losing Alex, shifted into a silent determination to embrace whatever came next. As they worked, Emma found herself contemplating the dynamics of ambition in her professional environment. The colleagues around her were brimming with talent. It was clear to her now, she couldn't allow herself to cling to Alex as a crutch. She needed to build her own legacy. Each innovative idea shared, every strategy produced, was a testament to her ability to stand on her own. Their brainstorming session stretched into the evening, a testament to Emma's newfound focus. As she packed her things to leave, a thrilling thought coursed through her. She wouldn't wait for the validation of others to step into the role she desired. Instead, she would embrace her own potential, take ownership of her narrative, and, whether by Alex's side or apart, forge her trajectory. As the night deepened, Emma sat in her car, grappling with an unsettling realization. The tremors of her decision regarding Alex had only scratched the surface of something deeper. This journey wasn't solely about partnership. It was about understanding who she was when stripped of her safety nets. Tomorrow would bring the presentation, possibly alongside discussions about Alex's opportunity. But there was something pressing on her consciousness now. What if the real challenge lay not just in deciding, but in confronting her deepest insecurities? Just as she turned the key in the ignition, a tight knot of anticipation settled in her stomach. She knew the next day would be a crucible, testing not only her ambition, but the very essence of her resolve. Would she rise to the occasion, or would she falter when her choices felt too harsh? The answer felt tantalizingly close, yet shrouded in mystery. The morning sun broke over the horizon, casting soft light through Emma's window, illuminating the traces of determination that were etched into her features. Today was not just another day at the office. It felt like a collision of all her stored aspirations and anxieties, a pivotal moment poised to reshape her existence. She could feel the electric buzz of opportunity thrumming in her veins as she prepared to face what lay ahead. As she drove to work, the city skyline looming in the distance felt more like a canvas awaiting her brushstrokes. Thoughts raced through her mind, vividly intermingling with dreams of professional achievement, each pulsating with urgency. How to transform the energy that churned within her into concrete results? She had spent so long waiting for external cues to define herself, but that would stop today. Deep down, she confronted the fear that had kept her anchored in a fear of being unworthy, of inadequacy that could unravel under scrutiny. Arriving at the office, she grabbed her materials, heart pounding in anticipation of the presentation. The conference room felt daunting, a kingdom of decision-making awaiting her claim. Emma thought of Alex, the enigmatic pull he had over her ambitions, and the partnership they had forged over time. But now, clarity reigned. This moment was about her evolution, her voice. Stepping into the room, she could almost hear the collective breath of her colleagues, the anticipation hanging heavy in the air. With her heart steadying its rhythm, she began her presentation. The initial tremors of apprehension morphed into electric confidence as she articulated her vision. Every slide she flicked through became a testament to her growth, a demonstration of her ability to marry strategy with creativity. The glowing looks from Mara and her coworkers fueled her passion. They echoed her own emerging belief in her capabilities. Surrounded by nodding heads and engaged expressions, Emma shed the insecurities like a second skin. It was inevitable that Alex would emerge in her thoughts, but now it was not about his shadow looming over her efforts. Instead, it became a conscious decision to embrace their professional relationship as a partnership of equals, where both could thrive, distinct yet intertwined. At the end of her presentation, Mara's voice echoed with enthusiasm. "Emma, that was fantastic. You didn't just present data, you captured a vision that we can work toward. Let's get to refining these ideas further." The exhilaration surged anew within her. Emma had pushed through barriers she once thought insurmountable. However, this newfound success came with an unexpected revelation. Alex was not merely an obstacle, nor a linchpin to her ambitions. He was a part of her life she had to reassess, a relationship that needed to evolve. As the meeting concluded, Emma's mind sparked with questions. If her identity no longer hinged on Alex, what remained of her emotional ties? As she took her seat at her desk, the reality of her decision loomed larger. Emma had crafted a clearer focus, but the next step mandated a confrontation with unresolved feelings. Taking a deep breath, she grabbed her phone. Maybe it was time to explore her relationship dynamic, to articulate her needs, and understand what she envisioned for them both moving forward. But as she prepared to send a text, another nagging thought pierced through her excitement. What if the conversation that lay ahead wouldn't just redefine her professional life, but challenge her understanding of love and partnership altogether? The adrenaline coursed through her again, summoning the sensation of standing on the precipice of transformative change. Was she ready to take that plunge? Nestled into the familiarity of her desk, Emma's fingers hovered over her phone. She knew she had to confront her feelings with Alex, but a flicker of vulnerability dimmed her resolve. Was her desire for clarity genuine, or merely an echo of her recent triumph? The walls around her desk seemed to close in, amplifying her swirling thoughts. Deciding that hesitation was a luxury she could no longer afford, she put down her phone, letting the moment settle in her mind. With her presentation echoing like a mantra, Emma craved momentum. She pulled out her notebook, its pages filled with ideas and insights from her research. This space wasn't merely for recording thoughts. It had become a fortress for her aspirations. She meticulously began refining her vision further, each word she wrote solidifying the path she wanted to carve out for herself. The rhythm of her pen met the steady tick of the wall clock. That sound served as a silent countdown, a urging force pushing her toward clarity. As she scribbled, she could feel the gaps in her presentation, the sections where her voice barely broke the surface. The notes transformed from scattered ideas into a cohesive plan, crystallizing her ambitions beyond the overlay of her relationship with Alex. Just as she began to feel the rush of inspiration recalibrating her direction, a knock at her door interrupted the flow. It was Mara, her supervisor. "Hey, Emma," Mara said, answering without waiting for an invitation. "I want to talk about the next steps for your project." The energy in the room shifted. Emma saw glimmers of potential collaboration flashing in Mara's eyes. "I think you've got the makings of something great," she continued, sitting on the edge of Emma's desk. "What do you need from me to elevate this further?" Emma's pulse quickened as opportunities started to unfold, and with it came the awareness that this collaboration could thread right through to the heart of her development. "I'd love to brainstorm ways to engage our team more effectively," she replied, unearthing confidence she hadn't realized had been buried beneath the surface. "If we could leverage the team's skills, we might uncover solutions that would resonate even more broadly." Mara nodded, clearly impressed. "Exactly. Let's set up a workshop. We can gather insights, really harness the power of collaboration." The prospect of orchestrating something impactful ignited Emma's passion anew. This was no longer just about her. It was about sparking a collective movement within their organization. "Could we also look at leadership roles?" Emma asked, testing the waters. "I've been thinking how I could take on a mentorship position to help new team members acclimate." The words felt liberating as they poured out. She was claiming her space not just as an individual, but as a leader among peers. "Absolutely," Mara smiled, her enthusiasm infectious. "I think you'll inspire many, Emma. We need more of that vision around here." With every passing moment, Emma felt the boundaries of her ambition stretching. She envisioned herself not just surviving the professional landscape, but thriving within it, filled with purpose. Yet, even as her future began to unfold, a shadow of uncertainty lingered. How would this newfound assertiveness affect her relationship with Alex? The thought nagged at her, a constant reminder of the conversation that still loomed. As the clock reminded them of the ticking hours, Emma's mind raced forward, mapping out not only her project, but also the impending discussion with Alex. The whirlwind of choices, opportunities, and questions began to swirl ominously. How would she navigate this new terrain? The moment her mind shifted back to Alex, she felt a pull, an urgency. She needed to align her personal growth with her evolving professional identity. But what if this dual journey led her to unexpected revelations about herself, revelations she wasn't yet ready to confront? And with that, the horizon of her day loomed larger, filled with promise yet haunted by lingering shadows. Emma stood at the edge of myriad possibilities, each pathway whispering the need for connection, yet daring her to step forward, into the unknown. Would she have the courage to face the depths of her relationship with Alex tomorrow? Emma settled back into her chair, the weight of anticipation bearing down on her as she stared at her notebook, now filled with structure and clarity. The workshop with Mara, along with her newfound ambition to mentor others, surged her with energy, yet her apprehension about Alex remained a constant undercurrent. The very fabric of her professional excitement wove through the rising tensions of her personal life. That evening, Emma decided to leverage her inspiration. She opened her laptop and streamlined the presentation, adding interactive elements to engage her team further. Confidence coursed through her. Each slide she crafted was a testament to her vision. Her drive transformed what could have been a mere task into a passionate endeavor. Yet, with her focus on professional growth came moments of introspection. She couldn't shake the thought of how Alex might perceive these changes in her. The clock ticked toward midnight when she finally hit send on the updated presentation for Mara's review. A wave of accomplishment washed over her, but it was tainted by the nagging need to address her feelings for Alex. She exhaled, resolving to call him first thing in the morning. Dawn broke with an orange hue, filling her apartment with warmth, but Emma felt far from cozy. As she brewed her coffee, her mind hustled toward unfamiliar territories. She needed courage, not only for the meeting, but for the conversation with Alex that could reshape everything. She reflected on her journey thus far. Each step had brought revelations about her abilities, but this intersection of her personal and professional lives felt like a risk she was now unwilling to ignore. Halfway through her first cup, her phone pinged. A message from Alex, a benign piece of banter about their favorite cafe. Her heart quickened, contrasting heartfelt messages with uncharacteristic trepidation. This playful text might have felt trivial once, but now it served as a reminder of what she'd have to confront. The flirtation had been innocent, yet in its simplicity it held a profound weight of unresolved emotions. She crafted her response, expressed her eagerness to meet later, and pressed send, crossing her fingers for a sign. The more she considered their relationship, the more she realized how tethered she felt. Would stepping into her leadership role mean stepping away from the way she had navigated her connection with Alex? Questions plagued her as she prepared for the day ahead. As Emma transitioned from her personal resurgence to professional engagement, she found herself rejuvenated. The workshop was unfolding into a rich tapestry of collaboration, and with each team member's diverse input, she felt a new layer unraveled. Discussions flowed, and Emma began to see the value of embodying her assertiveness rather than merely demonstrating it. The ripple effect of her ambitions felt empowering, a stark contrast to the corners where her insecurities lingered. Mara's approving nod during the workshop ignited a fire within her. Had she just claimed her place as a leader in this collective space? As ideas flourished, Emma noted how natural it felt to encourage others, deploy their unique skills, and weave her vision through their discussions. Yet, thoughts of her impending conversation with Alex loomed large. What if her professional growth carved deeper divides in their relationship? The uncertainty torn through her as she weighed the depth of her feelings against the possibility of disappointing him. Later that day, while running through potential mentoring topics, her phone buzzed again, an invite to dinner from Alex. Emma felt a spiral of excitement mixed with dread. She hesitated, wrestling with conflicting impulses. Was this a chance to deepen their connection or an impending confrontation of her fears? Would it lead to mutual understanding or necessitate a painful truth? The tension pressed inward, demanding resolution. At dinner, the choices she made, carefully weighed against her emerging identity, would demand everything she had learned thus far. Emma's heart raced as she made her decision, feeling the weight of her aspirations and her relationship crush against each other. The moment was approaching, and so were the consequences of her choices. Would she emerge stronger, or would the plunge reveal an entirely different truth? Emma breathed in the heady aroma of her coffee, feeling the warmth seep into her palms as she steeled herself for dinner with Alex. The sun set low, casting golden rays on the pavement, reflecting the tumultuous emotions rippling beneath her composed exterior. Today was not just about sharing a meal. It would serve as a defining moment, a nexus where her personal and professional paths intersected. As she stepped into the cozy cafe, where they shared many laughs and dreams, Emma's heart pounded like a war drum. She spotted Alex lounging at a table near the window, an easy smile gracing his face as he waved her over. But beneath that smile, she sensed a tension akin to her own. They were both teetering on the edge of something vast and uncharted. "Hey," Alex greeted, pulling out her chair. "You look radiant. How did the workshop go?" "Better than expected," Emma replied, feeling the wave of pride wash over her. "I think we tapped into some real synergy. The team was genuinely engaged." She caught his eyes narrowing slightly as he processed her words. They were clearly no longer the casual co-workers sharing gossip. They were grappling with the reality of their evolving ambitions. "That's amazing," he said, but a flicker of something deeper crossed his features. "I'm really proud of you, Emma." "Thanks," she murmured, the compliment stirring a sense of belonging she had craved. But the undercurrents of conversation weighed heavily on her. The easy chatter felt deceptively relaxed, an oasis before the storm of their impending discussion. As plates of pasta arrived, the pleasant aroma fought against the tension hanging between them. Emma swirled her spaghetti, mentally preparing for what lay ahead. "I wanted to talk about us, about what's next." "Yeah, me too, actually," Alex said, taking a deep breath and resting the fork down as if bracing for impact. "I've been given an incredible project opportunity, but it means relocating. It's a big commitment." The statement dropped like a stone in water, rippling through her thoughts. Just yesterday, she had stood at a precipice of defining who she was beyond his influence. Now, she was confronted by the possibility of separation. "How do you feel about it?" Emma dared to ask, her voice trembling. "I'm excited, but scared. I know we both want to chase our ambitions, but this might change everything," he confessed, his gaze steady yet revealing vulnerability. Emma felt a surge of courage. "I understand, but I want you to know that your journey matters, even if it means you leave the company. I'm at a new place in my life, too. I don't want to hold you back." His brows furrowed, surprise mingling with doubt. "What do you mean?" "I want to excel, and I think I finally can. I feel like I'm stepping into my own, like everything I've worked for is finally clicking into place. But I also realize that means I need to be open to change, even if it is hard." Silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken dreams and choices. "Are you saying you want us to break things off?" Alex asked, eyes wide with disbelief. "No," Emma exclaimed, dipping her heart into her palms for solace. "What I mean is, I want us to reconsider what this looks like. I need to be independent, and you should pursue your vision too." Alex sighed as hope glimmered back in his eyes, tempered by the weight of his own hesitations. "So, you're not saying goodbye?" "No, I'm saying we should grow," she replied, her voice no longer quaking. "It doesn't have to be a choice between us thriving and our relationship. But we can't pretend like things will stay the same. Lives are moving, and so are we." His smile returned, tentative yet relieved, as relief softened the tension etched on his face. "You're right, we're both in chapters that need to be written further, but I don't want to lose you along the way." "You won't," Emma asserted, sealing the resolve in her heart. "This is just a pivot, and it can be an opportunity for us both to thrive, no matter where we end up." As the conversation continued, each disclosure fortified their connection and eased her anxieties, dismantling the barriers built in the shadows of insecurity. They talked about what their relationship would require, balancing support with ambition, explaining desires and fears. Emma felt herself stretching, confirming each intention with an unwavering clarity, building each bridge back toward their shared future. When they finally left the cafe that night, the horizon shimmered beneath the moonlight. Emma strolled beside Alex, hand intertwined with his, no longer fearful of the shifts fate would bring. She could see her path towards leadership emerging monumentally, with Alex standing firmly beside her, his dreams merging into hers. With newfound confidence, Emma had embraced the uncertainties of change while nurturing her individuality. The anxiety that once cloaked her ambitions had transformed into a palpable excitement for the future, her passion no longer shackled by doubt. Instead, she was ready to dive headfirst into the depths of her evolving identity, secure in the knowledge that she would thrive, regardless of the route ahead. Emma had grown, not just as a professional, but as a person. She had proved to herself that her worth extended beyond the perceptions of others. It radiated from the depths of her truth. And as she stepped into a future brimming with possibility, she resolved to stand tall, with or without the familiar comfort of Alex's presence. This was her moment of triumph, a conclusive chapter marking the start of an exhilarating journey grounded in resilience, realization, and unwavering self-assurance. You need to subscribe now to witness these exclusive stories of personal transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to ensure we reach even more souls combating their challenges. Comment below with your thoughts on Emma's growth and what you think lies ahead for her journey. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to witness the power of conquering one's fears. Your actions matter.